You're gonna have to. Well, let me show you a few of the things that you're gonna be needing. Now you're gonna need 4 or 5 of these little bitty tomatoes here. It's you make the call how many you want. I like to use about 4, and it really depends on how big my saucepan is. Then you're gonna need you a little bit of cilantro. One of these peppers right here, a serrano. If you want it real hot, put your 2 of them in there for 4 or 5 tomatoes. Me, I like it warm, but I don't like it hot. So that's all I'm gonna put in there is 1 of those. And the secret to it is don't dice these up in real small pieces. That way you get a bunch of it in every bite. Make it bigger pieces. That way you can kind of pick it out if you don't want the heat in the salsa. And we got some cloves of garlic. And then we got a big old onion. Now, first thing you're gonna have to have your skillet. We'll get a shot of that as we're cooking. We'll put a little bit of oil in the bottom of that. And the first thing we're going to put in there is going to be the onions. So we're going to chop these onions up. And you're not going to take a whole onion, of course. And this is a big onion. We're going to start dicing all this up here. You don't want it in real chunky pieces. The smaller it is, the better it'll be when it comes to the onion. You may tweak this recipe a little bit, because you may want something a little bit different. Or maybe you've seen another recipe out there on YouTube, and you say, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of that with a little bit of this, and I'm going to end up with that. Like I said, this recipe is not set in stone. You can change it any way you want to. Okay, we've got us a little skillet on there. I believe that's about a 10-inch skillet. And it's an oldie but a goodie. And we'll cover the bottom with oil, maybe about 1/4 of an inch or less. And then we'll get ready to put our onions in it. Okay, we got the oil in the skillet over there, and we got a shot of that, but we haven't put the onions in there quite yet. And then we'll take this little serrano pepper, cut the end of it off, both ends of it off. Now, don't rub your eyes after you've been playing with this thing, because it gets pretty hot. But we're going to slice it into little bitty circles, slices just like you see right here. That way, what'll happen is when you're eating the salsa, you'll have the flavor of the serrano, but if you don't like the heat, you'll be able to pick that pepper out, being it's a medallion shaped. Then we're gonna have all kinds of problems. Then we're gonna start dicing up some tomatoes. I think 4 of these are going to be plenty. Ho-ho! Got that one. Cut the end of it out of there. Cheap. Now we're going to get us a little batch of cilantro here, and we're just going to chop it up. Now this is going to be added to the salsa at the very end. I'm not going to put it in there at the beginning because it'll just overcook and have a bitter taste to it. Okay, now all we got left is the garlic here. Now we're going to chop this up in smaller pieces. Make sure you got it cleaned off the outside of it. If that don't work too good, just hold it, take your knife, hold it down like that, smash that garlic, just like so. And you'll be able to get that outside shell off of there, that outside cover. Take your knife, put it on top of the actual garlic, smash it down, and that'll be like pressing some of that stuff out of there. Now at this point in the cook, this is what you should have. You should have your tomatoes, cilantro, chopped garlic, or serrano pepper or jalapeno, whichever one you want, skillet, and some oil in the skillet. And the other thing you're going to have is going to be some garlic. Garlic. Some onion. You got your chopped onion in the bowl over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fire this old stove up. Something lit up underneath there. We're going to bring that old oil up to temp. Just like so. Alright, well, Now those grease ought to be getting pretty warm. What we'll do is we'll dump a couple of these little Funyun onions in here and see if they start frying up yet. Just like so. Make sure you got something you can stir them around a little bit there with. Probably going to have your heat, say a low to medium, or maybe a medium, pretty close to the middle of the medium would be just fine. Now you'll cook these for 2 or 3 minutes until they start browning up, and then you'll go ahead and add the rest of the stuff to it at that point. You know you've achieved the point to where you can continue mixing this stuff together when you smell that aroma from that boiled up toasted onions. It's all the way throughout the house already. That's how strong it really is. So at this point we're going to go ahead and add some tomatoes. Tomatoes in there. Take this piece out. No go. Stir up the liquid, tomato, and the onions all married together, I guess you could say. To form a marriage between the tomato and the onions. And we're going to let that cook. Now you don't want to cook it too hot, because if you do, you'll cook out the moisture that you got in there. And you may have to add some water, because you don't want this to get dry. That's for sure. Start letting that cook. While that's going, we're actually going to put the serrano peppers in there as well. Now you can leave these till later on if you want to, but I want to see what happens when I put them in here a little bit earlier. I normally cook them in, let's say another 15 minutes, another 5 minutes into the cooking time. You for sure don't want to put the garlic in until last, because the garlic will cook real fast and get real bitter. Just let that sit there and simmer. It is on. Let me move the burner. There's your fire. That's about how much we got in there. So let's let this go for a little bit longer, and then we'll be right back with you shortly to continue finishing the video. Well, right now is the time when you can start figuring out how much salt you want in there, pepper, garlic powder. Like I said, we are going to be putting the clove garlic in there, but we're also going to be adding a few other things, such as a little garlic. We're going to be adding those three: garlic powder, the Crawford seasoning, and some pepper. And then sometimes, if you want a little smoky flavor to it, you can go over here and add some liquid smoke to it. Let me let you know a little bit ahead of time. Liquid smoke is super strong. Just a couple of drops goes a long way. So if you never use it, don't experiment now. Let me say something else. If you're sitting home watching TV and you want some salsa and you don't have any fresh vegetables, you can also do this. You can cheat. You get you a can of Rotella. I'm sure you got that sitting in the cabinet, and just blend it from the Rotella. You already got some stuff pre-made there. That's called cheating. And it's not as good as the stuff with the live ingredients or the real ingredients and real stuff from the garden or from the store. The garden is even better, but you can get it done that way too. Okay, now we've reached that point where we're going to start adding our spices. I am going to add some garlic salt, just enough to the taste. I like garlic, so yeah, you may not, but I like garlic. We're going to put a few pepper, a little bit of black pepper in there. Just a dab of the smoke, that's it. Not even 3 drops. That will kind of give it a roasted flavor, like you're taking vegetables and put them on a barbecue pit and grill them. And then I like this Crawford's. I'm not crazy with it, it's just real strong. Just a little bit of that. That's all the spices I'm going to put on. Now then, we're going back over here. We're going to get the garlic. Stir that up real good. If you see that you're cooking the fluids out of it, turn the burner down. If you have to, you can add a little bit of water, which is what's going to happen in this situation. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Okay, we're going to add just a little bit of water. Not much there, but enough to keep it from drying out. Man, if you could just smell what I'm smelling, the aroma coming off of this stuff is sensational. All of the spices are starting to blend together, and it's coming together just like it should. We'll let that cook for another 2-3 minutes, and then we're going to start smashing it up. Okay, we've got it to a point now where we want to start smashing this stuff up. Now, you're going to have to watch it because you don't want that stuff to splash over the sides. Just be gentle. Start smashing it down, making it more of a little liquidy. Man, it sure smells good, guys. I didn't want to really smash them serrano peppers up that small, because I'm afraid they're going to be pretty hot. All right, now we're coming to the end, where we're going to dress it up with a little bit of that cilantro on top. And then we're going to stir that up a little bit. Cilantro won't take but about a minute or two to cook in. It is something that cooks extremely fast, kind of like garlic. Garlic itself doesn't take long to roast. Now we're going to let it chill out just a little bit. Turn the burner off. Let it set in. Be right back. We're going to put some chips. Well, I did have some leftover HEB chips. They're pretty good. Let's try it, see what this tastes like. Well, guys, I don't know if I can say it any better. This stuff is fantastic. Serrano pepper got a little heat in it. I bet you can tell that by looking at me on the video, right? But dad burn it, was it ever good? Guys, all I can say, even with a mouthful, the combination of all that stuff I put in there really makes it fantastic. Ranchero salsa. Great for eggs and everything else. Dipping, Super Bowl, football games, baseball games, backyard. Man, just great. You won't know how good it really is till you try it yourself. Follow the recipe I showed you here on this video, and you'll be your neighbor's envy every time they come over. They'll be wanting salsa and chips or Ranchero eggs every morning. Thumbs up, like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.